Welcome to our show entitled New Story and Icon Pioneering Solutions to Homelessness. Most of us go to work, attend classes at school, or participate in recreational activities, and then look forward to returning to the place we call home. That is where we can prepare our own meals, enjoy being with our families, and sleep safely at night. It is easy to sometimes take the blessing of proper shelter for granted, but more than 1.5 billion people around the world do not have adequate housing. And it is estimated that in 30 years that number will double. When people do not have a place to call their own, it affects their physical and mental health, as well as their ability to take steps that could improve the situation. Whether the cause of unsheltered populations is weak national economies, countries facing internal conflict, or natural disasters, there is a huge global shortage of affordable and durable housing. When Brett Hegler of the United States was 18, he developed a rare form of cancer. Surviving that experience changed the way he thought about his life and what really matters. Brett visited Haiti several years after the 2010 earthquake and was shocked to see tens of thousands of people still living in tents and other temporary accommodations. When he returned to San Francisco, California, USA, he met Alexandria Lafsi, who shared his sentiments, and together they decided to develop ways of providing housing to families that need it the most. With their friend Matthew Marshall, they co-founded a non-profit called New Story Charity and started raising money through crowdfunding to build 5 homes in Haiti. For each family, the charity posted their story and photo online. This helped the potential donors to feel good about the project and have a sense of connection. Fortunately, New Story found private investors to cover their administrative expenses so they could pledge to people that 100% of all donations would be spent on building houses. Also, Brett and Alexandria were determined to use local talent and materials for the construction, which would boost the local economy. Finally, as each house was completed and the family moved in, a video of the happy day was recorded and sent back to the donors. The success of New Story's first project inspired Brett and Alexandria to challenge themselves. If they could provide housing for 5 families, why not 500? Over the next several years, thanks to generous contributions and God's grace, the fledgling nonprofit was able to erect over 2,300 homes in Haiti and elsewhere in Latin America using traditional cement blocks reinforced with steel rods. New Story's founders were pleased with the results of their efforts, but realized that if they wanted to have a significant impact on global homelessness, they needed a faster and less expensive way to build houses. In 2017, New Story connected with a construction technologies company in Austin, Texas, USA, that had reached the same conclusion. Jason Ballard, co-founder and CEO of Icon, was looking for a home building solution that would be affordable, scalable, and sustainable. His company already specialized in robotics, software, and advanced materials, so the only option that made sense to everyone was 3D printing. News Story and Icon partnered to design a 3D printer that could build a house. Instead of extruding plastic like smaller 3D printers, their machine pumps out a special mortar-like material that they call lavacrete. By 2018, they had printed their first 32.5 square meter structure in Austin, Texas. It satisfied all the requirements of the city's Uniform Housing Code, was 3 times stronger than a conventionally constructed home, and the building process generated very little waste. Amazingly, total printing time was less than 48 hours and the cost was around $10,000. Since then, News Story and Icon have evolved the printer and the process so that they can provide homes even faster and cheaper. Brett, News Story's CEO, believes that eventually they will be able to get the cost of a small home down to about $3,000 and reduce the printing time to under 12 hours. The second iteration of the 3D printer is called the Vulcan 2. It is gantry style on rails, meaning a bridge-like structure with a platform that supports the actual printer as it moves around the building's floor plan. Having learned from the experience of printing their first house, the partners upgraded the Vulcan 2's design to include an app for tablet or smartphone-based control, an improved user interface, a 4 times larger printing area, greater speed, more safety features, plus onboard lighting for working at night or in low light. We will pause now for a brief intermission and a constructive message. When we return, we will learn more about News Story and Icon's mission to make affordable and dignified housing available to everyone. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our program, News Story and Icon, Pioneering Solutions to Homelessness on Supreme Master Television. Let's learn more about using a highly advanced 3D printer to create housing. Icon's lavacrete is adaptable for ambient temperature and humidity, the altitude of the location, as well as the desired printing speed. With the Vulcan 2, all mixing, pumping, and delivery are automated via the software. Thus, no manual measuring or dumping is required. Using a layer-by-layer approach, lavacrete is extruded from the printer head and stacked up according to a digital model. Finished structures are beautiful in their simplicity, long-lasting, and afford protection from extreme weather conditions. It was crucial to design the Vulcan 2 for operating constraints commonly encountered in rural settings, such as unpredictable electricity availability, insufficient clean water, and lack of technical assistance. Keeping the printer as straightforward as possible would help ensure its reliability in the field. Once it had passed all the necessary tests, the Vulcan 2 was disassembled and loaded onto a truck for a trip to Mexico. According to Alexandria News Story's Chief Operations Officer, securing land for building is one of the most important and difficult parts of News Story's work. In the Mexican state of Tabasco, they were able to acquire land outside the town of Nacajuca for building the world's first community of 3D printed homes. In coordination with Echale, a Mexican social housing enterprise, News Story signed a contract with the government to construct housing for 50 indigenous families. The future residents were asked to contribute their ideas for the design of the buildings and the community. After the plots were prepared and inspected, foundations were laid with special reinforcement to withstand vibrations in case of seismic activity. Then the Vulcan 2 3D printer was set up to create a 46.5 square meter home with 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. Each house has 104 layers of lavacrete and took about a cumulative 24 hours of print time over several days. Once Icon's crew had erected the walls, workers from Echale installed the doors, windows, and roof. To give you an idea of how this community of 50 homes is going to transform the lives of 400 individuals, consider that these are underprivileged people who are used to living in makeshift and insecure shelters. They work very hard and for long hours, but the average family of 4 makes less than $200 per month. The homes they will receive through News Story and Icon are intentionally simple, without unnecessary fixtures that would cost more to maintain. But the structures themselves meet or exceed the International Building Code and will provide the residents with a new sense of dignity and safety. At News Story, the word employee is not used. They prefer to think of themselves as a team of founders. They cherish a shared vision of putting an end to homelessness and consider it a rare privilege to be able to give hope and happiness to so many people. May we take inspiration from these brilliant young pioneers at News Story and Icon and see ourselves as a team of founders dedicated to re-establishing Eden on earth through our compassion and kindness for all beings. To learn more about the entities featured today, please visit the following websites: News Story Charity, newsstorycharity.org, Icon, iconbuild.com. Vibrant viewers, thank you for joining us for today's program.